the new standard in performance and safety. At $35,490 fully equipped and 7-year warranty, the all-new MG HS is value you've never seen before.
Jack Madgen, big thank you, mate, for joining me on Gibbo Goes One-on-One, driven by MG. First of all, where are you right now?
I'm in Twin Waters, in Sunshine Coast, Queensland. So we've been up here for about 4 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks. Started in Sydney, then to Perth, and now here. So what was meant to be a 3-week road trips turned into about a 12-weeker.
It must, I'm assuming the weather out there is pretty nice, but it must be, I mean, obviously you'd like to play your games at home, but to be out of Melbourne with, I'm sure what you've heard is going on here, must be pretty nice to be out of Melbourne and up there.
Yeah, definitely pretty thankful. I mean, we still get to play, and yeah, the weather is pretty good. I reckon it's unseasonably cold, but it's beautiful here at the moment. But yeah, it missed playing at the G, but the Gabbers actually quite like playing there as well. Well, I think we played 4 games there now, and it's a good deck, and we got to play in the sun the other day, which is real nice. So yeah, definitely can't complain.
I'll get to the Pies and your footy stuff a little bit later, but you grew up in SA. I'm assuming football was something you loved growing up. Did you have a favourite team as a young kid? Was it the Crows, living in Adelaide?
Yeah. Went for the Crows. I was born in '93, and the Crows won when I was real young, like 2 flags in a row. So went for the Crows, and my whole family did. And my brother Ben, was a big Crows fan, and then played football pretty much up until I finished high school, and then decided to go down the basketball path. But yeah, football was definitely a big part of my life. Like, my old man was the president of the local footy club, so we spent a lot of weekends, watching and playing local footy.
I talked to Ben, your brother, a few episodes ago about, growing up with a sporting family. Your older sister Carly, who wasn't so much sporty, but yourself, Ben and Tess, there must have been some good battles. I know they're both feisty people, but to play and have brothers and sisters that you can kind of grow up with around that sporting environment was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I listened to that one with Benny, and it was awesome. I loved it. And he touched on it was me and Tess on to Ben, because Ben's 8 years older than me and about 5 years older than Tess. So he still used to whoop us, but we used to pull out all the stops, like one hanging off his leg, the other one trying to punch him or something. He'd still kill us. But no, it was pretty competitive. When when it was just me and Tess at home, we'd play on local school courts, which were concrete, and one of us would come home grazed knees. The only way I could beat her was trying to take charges, on the cement. So I used to always come home covered in blood. One of us would come home crying for sure. But yeah, it was definitely fun, and very competitive.
You mentioned your dad, and Ben said the same thing, but growing up, that kind of tough mentality of, you get hit, kind of get back up, or go in, so you're the one hitting people. That kind of mentality must have been good to, I guess, a little fun to grow up with that kind of mentality, but obviously it probably helps playing footy, contact sport, just going in first and having that mentality to not get hit, but hit first. Yeah.
So he was a big, show no pain or show no weakness. If you're hurt, don't cry, whatever you do. You probably tell the way, you played with Ben and against Ben, the way he played basketball was pretty fiery. And even while I played basketball was probably pretty similar. Definitely suits the football field a bit better, but he was big on, get to the ball first, never pull out, and all that stuff, real hard country footballer. Some of the stories I heard about him from my uncles and stuff when he was playing is, I'm glad I wasn't in that era playing against my old man.
I read also your uncle used to play. He played in the AFL, I think, for Fitzroy, and I can't remember the other team.
Yeah, so he played for Fitzroy. He was a ruck. I think he was all Australian ruckman a couple of years. Matthew Rendell. Yeah. And then he's recruited for the Crows. He was assistant coach at St Kilda with Grant Thomas, early 2000s, and then he was the one that eventually got me over to the Pies. So he was involved with footy his whole life. So Matt Rendell was his name.
So I'm the youngest of 3. I appreciate you're the youngest. Was there a lot of pressure, obviously, when Ben started to play professional sport, and obviously Tess Do you feel that kind of pressure being the youngest? I mean, obviously you've done well yourself now, but, coming up to try and live up to or to try and match, kind of what your other siblings have done, I guess, in their career?
I wouldn't say pressure. They definitely, because like obviously Tess went to the RAS, and she was like the best player for her age group in South Australia. So she got into like all the South Australian teams, SASI, like South Australian Sports Institute and all that. And Ben never got any of those opportunities. I think he only played in one nationals for SA country. Yeah. So they definitely went two different paths. But Ben forged the path for going to the States for me. Like once he did it, like I said, he's 8 years older. I knew that I wanted to do it, and I probably had a bit of a skewed reality with what college was like because he was so successful and won, and he went to a really good school, like culture-wise and stuff. So I thought it was going to be like that. And my journey was probably a bit different. I think maybe a little bit harder, but he definitely paved the way for someone like me because we're pretty similar players and mindsets. So I wouldn't say pressure, but definitely opportunity.
Let's touch on your college. So you went to college for 4 years to Delta State in Cleveland. I'm pretty sure LeBron would have been in Cleveland then. Was it?
It's Cleveland, Mississippi, not Cleveland, Ohio. It was.
I should have done my research. How was your college experience?
It was good, man. There's 14 Clevelands in America, so easy mistake. But it was like a town of maybe 25,000 people, and the school had about 5 or 7,000. So definitely a college town. Mississippi is like another world in itself. But I loved it. Like I got there the same time as a new coach, so I was one of his guys. So I got to play right away. Met my now fiance over there. Got a degree, and loved it. Made some really good friends over there. And we had some big wins as a team and as a program. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Even though it was probably like a smaller college experience than what a lot of Aussies have when they go over there. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. It was awesome.
So obviously in basketball, you're probably more as a guard position, that 6'4" kind of height. But in AFL, you're obviously like one of the tall, obviously not a ruckman or anything, but I mean, you can play that position. But typically probably one of the bigger players in the AFL. Do you find like people don't really understand the height differences and, like basketball, you need to be like 7 foot and it's kind of normal. Whereas, AFL 6'4", 6'5" is kind of, a taller player.
Almost key position. Yeah. So I probably, it's coming from basketball. Obviously I wasn't used to the physicality for someone my size as well. So that was something that took me a little bit to adjust. Like you actually can hit people and it's legal. So, that was actually really fun to sort of adjust, and I'm getting better at that now. But even today in the training room, we were talking about the NBA, and I was wearing a Dame Lillard top, and I was like, oh, he's 6'1", he's 188 centimeters, he's the smallest guy on the court. And in footy, he's like a third tall forward or back. So yeah, we always marvel at, like, even LeBron. Like we got a guy on our team, we're like, LeBron's your size and can probably jump over you. Like, so it's a different world, but I mean, definitely put me in good stead playing basketball with the footwork and hand-eye and spatial awareness and stuff. So, yeah.
I've definitely noticed that your last few games, which I'll get to later. But obviously you went from, playing in college to Cairns, the NBL. Aaron Fern has been known to, take a lot of college kids and whatever. But how was your first? Well, how did you get to Cairns?
Yeah, so I messaged Richard Hill, who coached me before I went to college, and he was coaching in the Seaball, the Pioneers, who was super successful under Richo, and I think they won like 5 championships, and I was lucky to play in one of them. And he obviously had a relationship with Fernie because Brad Hill played for Cairns. So I got the DP spot up there. Went up there for 6 months, and it was pretty tough. Being a development player is hard work. You have to work a job outside of playing and training, and you're not always guaranteed to even get on at training. But I had a really good time. Obviously, Far North Queensland was nice and hot. I'd obviously going to college, I was having winters, 8 winters in a row almost. So it was good to get into some hot weather. But yeah, so Richo really helped me out, set that up, and then I went back and played for him after again in the Seaball. So
Growing up, was obviously you're obviously making a name for yourself now in football, and that's been your path. But growing up, was the NBL a dream? Was football a dream? Like, what was, as a young kid coming up, like, was basketball the number one that you really want to be a basketball, and then obviously the NBL came around, and that chance was kind of there.
Yeah, well, we used to have Adelaide 36ers season tickets for years. So I grew up watching like Brett Maher and Kevin Brooks, Darnell Mee, Willie Farley, like sort of. And I was just like, man, how good! Like I think they were playing at the Powerhouse, and that place used to like go nuts, and it was so cool. And I just wanted to play for the 36ers. And then I got a little bit older, and I was still just playing like local football and like some rep stuff for footy. My uncle came and watched me play, Matt, and he said he was a recruiter at the Crows, and he goes, we'll play one game of under-18s for Central Districts in SNFL so you can be drafted, and I'll take you as a rookie. And I was like, no, I'm going to college. But he told me that the other, like a couple of weeks ago, and I can't really remember him saying that, but he was adamant. But I'm still glad I went to college, and never know what could have happened. I might have been one and done in the AFL. So I guess it was always college and then come back and play NBL for me. Just didn't quite work out that way, which is I'm okay with it. I gave it my best shot.
Well, I mean, that still must have been, pretty awesome to be on a part of that team, even as a DP, and being around, professional basketballers and living somewhat of that dream a little bit, even though it didn't, progress further. But to be a part of that team and being around that environment must have been pretty cool. Yeah,
it was awesome. We had some really cool vets like Wertho is always good for the young guys. Mark Worthington, Nate Jawai was really cool, and I actually knew Steve Way before I went to college in Adelaide. He was playing for the 36ers, so I knew him then. So he was. I actually catch up with Steve and talk to him quite a bit still. So it was awesome. Like they really helped us out, and Cairns is that sort of community-based team. It was like a family up. Like the imports got along. Nana Egwu was really cool for the development players. And I had a really good time, mainly because of the team up there was just threw the arms around everyone. Didn't matter if you were a starter or didn't get any minutes. So I really appreciated that for my time in Cairns.
You definitely looking from my teams, looking at Cairns, it's definitely always felt like that close-knit group, and you always seemed like it was a lot of fun on the bench. And so it must have been a lot of fun. Obviously from Cairns, then you went, like you said, back to Mount Gambier. You played that off-season, the Seabull. Richard Hill was actually my first player agent when I was 17 years old. So it's a small world. I was at the AAS with Brad Hill, his son.
Yeah.
So you went back to Mount Gambier. You played that last season, I guess, of basketball, and then talk to me how you got from basketball to being drafted as a Category B rookie.
Yeah, so it was. I sort of knew going into that Seabull season, I had to probably put up pretty big numbers to crack the NBL. And we had Brad Hill and Tom Daly, Eric Burden, and then 2 imports. So we had a lot of talent on that team. And I sort of knew halfway through, I was like, I'm probably just going to give football a crack. Because the basketball wasn't. We were winning, and I was playing okay. I was playing well, but being realistic, talking to Richo, and he set it out for me pretty straight, which I appreciate. And then just checked with my uncle, and I said, "What do I need to do?" And then so I had a tryout with Collingwood's VFL, and then they said, just to see if I was any good, just went and trained. They said, "Come back at the start of next pre-season and do 2-week block, and then we'll make a call then." So. That's pretty much how it went. I was lucky enough to, that went well, both the tryouts. And in between that, I actually went to GWS as well and had a physical testing and psych testing and all that with them as well. So I was definitely, my name was out. I was definitely trying to go down that football path.
So for someone that doesn't know how the whole Category B and all the recruiting players from other sports, how does that all work, and how are you classified as a Category B rookie?
So it's either you play elite sport at another level. Elite level sport away from football. So I was classed as that, or you're 3 years removed from playing any organised AFL. So I actually fit into both those categories. So I hadn't played football for 7 years.
Yeah.
And I was cross code, so basketball. So that pretty much means you're paid off the salary caps, like you're in the soft cap. So it's almost like a free hit. So it's almost like if a club has the money, like why not? Because you might find like a Mark Blitzabs who was a Category B, or Keith for the Western Bulldogs, who's now a really good defender. So there's always, or Connor McKenna even. So there are some gems out there, which is almost like a free hit. So
you'll have to throw yourself in that mix. Now, I think 2018 you played in the AFLX, that tournament. How was that? I think, was that your first kind of...
Yeah, first time chucking on the colours, so to speak. And so we had 2 games, and I didn't play the first one because we had a bunch, like a squad. And man, I was so nervous watching that game. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm going to miss my foot like when I kick. And then I was so nervous. I just took a couple deep breaths, and you know what it's like. Once you get out there, it's fine. The lead up's easily the worst part.
Yeah.
And then once I got out there, I was fine. And it was actually Highmarsh Stadium in Adelaide, so in front of my family and friends, which was really cool. But yeah, definitely special. We even talked about it before that game. I remember Still Sidebottom saying like we're taking this seriously. Like anytime you get a chance to put on these colours, like you got a standard to upkeep. So yeah, it was definitely cool.
It must be pretty cool. Obviously, Collingwood's one of the biggest AFL clubs, biggest following memberships, and like you said, to have guys like still in that that culture and stuff must be cool to be a part of that now. And I know you're a Crows fan, but to be part of that team, and I think of it like a Lakers or Boston Celtics in the NBA, to be a part of the Perth Wildcats, part of teams that rich history, to be a part of that must be pretty special, and you must feel pretty honoured as well.
Yeah, it's I guess, yeah, like the old adage, like you love to hate them sort of thing. So it's definitely like that, like us against everyone else feeling. And you find out pretty early, like we have a meeting with the media guys early, and they say like, if Collingwood's on the front or back page of the paper, they sell like 50,000 more copies. So yeah, you definitely like on the back or front for good reasons. Like you're playing good footy is awesome, but you definitely don't want to be on the back for something you've done wrong. But yeah, it's such a rich history. We still have a lot of the past players come through the club, and obviously Bucks is like past legend. With Nick Maxwell's still around the club, stuff like that. Which is Simon Prestigiacomo works in admin side, so yeah, definitely some past players still there, and it's. Yeah, you definitely get a feel for how passionate and talking to the supporters, some of the older supporters, and how much they like remember. And yeah, it's something special. I've never been a part of it. Something so special.
I'll come back to Nick Maxwell in a minute, but you played VFL for a little bit, and then I think you had a broken jaw, so that probably would have halted your progress a little bit. But then, talk me through that first. Like obviously, playing VFL. Getting, I guess, game practice in, probably going from basketball to football, your cardio probably would have been well underdone. I can imagine if I was going to transition, I'd need a whole 2 years to get my cardio up so I can run 15 Ks. But talk to me through that whole process. And then obviously, breaking a jaw must be pretty devastating knowing that you're trying to work to a goal.
Yeah, so the first pre-season is pretty tough, but you're in the same boat with all the other first-year guys. And now the way we do it's pretty good. So your first year, you sort of only do about 75%. Like they pull you out of a lot of the extra conditioning because they know that if you do it all, you'll break down. So they do look after you in that respect. And then you know what it's like when you're out in the field and you have to run, you just get it done. Like there's no stopping. Like if you stop, you let down everyone. So in that respect, it wasn't too bad. But so the story I broke my jaw. It was like halfway through my first VFL year, and it was like the best game I'd ever played. Like up until it was like a quarter and a half in, and I was playing really well, and could see like all the improvement coming out that I've been working on. And I fumbled a ball, and then was just second to the ball, and a guy just it was my fault. He was going for the ball, and I just ran into his shoulder, and it split me down here. So I missed 3 weeks in a bye, and then I came back for 2 or 3 weeks, and then made my debut. So it actually probably worked out pretty well in the end.
I wondered why you had that beard. I can't remember you always having a beard.
This is just a COVID beard, man.
Now, I was talking to Tess. She obviously, Ben's pretty elite as well, but your mental toughness, I guess your mindset, she said one of your, I guess, things you live by is be undeniable. Can you tell me kind of what that means for you, and how do you make that work for yourself?
Yeah, it's probably only something I've come across sort of like in the last 8 to 10 months. And it's just like, because the way I look at it is like, I think I know what I'm capable of, and I know all the preparation and everything I put in to my game. So it's just keep doing that, and the door, like the damn wall will break. Like you'll bust through the door eventually. And you see it all the time. Like guys are playing okay, playing role, and then eventually, like the floodgates are open, and you're like, where did this come from? But what you don't see is all the work they've put in for the months and weeks leading up to that. So yeah, it's just even this year I played the first 2 games of AFL, and then went back down to the VFL, and I was playing really good football, but so were the guys in the ones. So it's like, well, you're not going to take out someone that's playing really well. So then my mindset was like, just be undeniable. Like make the match selection or match committee be like, we have to put him in. You know, and that's sort of, it's tough. Like I have my days where like everyone does, where I'm a bit down, but it's just being able to be up and be a great teammate and just make people notice, sort of thing.
Well, that's probably stuff that you pick up from basketball as well. You know, like you could be the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th man on a bench and just sit there and never play. But if you're up and about and you're into the game and supporting and you're cheering, like it makes a massive difference, because then when you do get your opportunity,
you're already there.
You're ready to go. You're already up and into the game. You know what's going on. You know who's playing well, or all that stuff. So
because you can tell, even watching in the stand. Like I watched a lot of your guys' games, and I still watch a lot of basketball, and you can tell when someone goes on the court and they're not ready. You know what I mean? Like you can, and I'm sure the coaches know. But then you see some guys, they get on and you're like, damn, like he must have been in the zone like the whole game. So, yeah.
Now, I think it was round 20. I can't remember who you replaced. Someone got injured, but I think your first game was against the Swans. Now, do you guys, obviously the jersey presentation or the Guernsey presentation, did someone do that for you? Actually,
yes.
Take me back to when you first found out that you were going to play your first senior game.
Yeah, so it was about 2 weeks after I came back from my joint. I played really well against Essendon in the VFL.
Yep.
And then I think Howie went down in the ones. Jeremy Howie got that really bad cork in 17. And then the next week, Matt Scharenberg hurt his knee again. And then I was pretty much the last one standing. And then so I sort of knew I'd be going in. And then they announced it at training, and it was just awesome relief. And Bucks come up to me, and then obviously at the game, I've got Brodie Grundy is from South Australia, and I actually played basketball against him growing up, and he did sassy with me and stuff like that. So we have a bit of we're like third cousins or something. His mum told me once. So we got a little bit of a relationship. So he presented me my Guernsey, and it was real special. It was Indigenous round as well, which was so cool. And my parents were able to be there. It was something I'll never forget. It was so cool.
And no better matchup than to line up on Buddy Franklin for you.
I wasn't supposed to be on him. I definitely wasn't supposed to be on him. Darcy Moore was playing, and Buddy was in good nick from the get-go. I think he had 3 goals in the first quarter, and then Darcy got hurt, and he looked at me, and I remember he was like, oh, "Sorry, Madge, but I got to go off." And I was like, "Oh no." No, but yeah, it was cool. Like it was SCG. I think they had the win to make the finals. It was like 56,000 there. It was Alex Johnson's first game back from his knee.
Yeah.
As well, so it was so cool atmosphere and a big game. And we ended up losing by I think 2 points, but like it was unreal.
You must be pretty proud. I remember watching, I think, your first game, or I remember we were playing Fortnite with Jaden and online stream, and you played your first game, and I was like I was super proud because I thought you played an unbelievable game. And like you said, I don't think you played that next game where you sat out for a little bit. Obviously, some players came back, but your last few games have been unbelievable, in my opinion, for someone that hasn't played a lot of senior footy, but obviously, you see players that haven't played a lot that come in and touch and stuff, but you must be pretty proud of the progress you've made in a short amount of time to be so clean with the ball and make decisions so smart and all that stuff of where you started to where you are now in such a short amount of games.
It was a little bit, of that be undeniable sort of stuff that Tess told you about. It was So I'm 27, and I'd only played I'd only played 10 games up until the point where I came back in this year for the second time in round 10, and I was like, it's now or never. Like, I have to start proving I belong here, otherwise, sort of career over type. So I've been playing really good in the Rezzies, but obviously due to COVID and restrictions, some games we only get like 15 on 15. So I've been working a lot on like offensive side of the ball and stuff like that. So then when I got to AFL, I'm like, why not? Like, why can't I do that here? And my playing group and the coaches had belief in me, and then I believed in myself. And yeah, pretty lucky. Like, just sometimes the ball just bounces your way a couple of times, and you feel good at the start of a game, and then the rest is like almost a blur. But yeah, I do, and like I said, I do everything I can mentally in preparation to play well. So I definitely don't leave any stone unturned. So I knew it was a matter of, I thought it would be a matter of time. I just wasn't sure if I was going to get that opportunity again. And yeah, lucky enough I did. And seeing the rewards now, but there's definitely like room for improvement, and you never play a perfect game. So.
Oh, no question. I think you make your own luck, but it just feels like ex basketball guys that obviously you're dealing in a small area on a basketball court, but seems like I know Scotty Pendlebury hasn't played basketball since he was like 16. But you see guys like that are in close, and just seems like they have so much time and just poise, and just, I don't know. It probably seems like you got more room on a football field than on a basketball court to just make decisions, and all that kind of stuff seems like it would help a fair bit coming from basketball.
Yeah, even just like the footwork in close, like you're not like tripping over your own feet, sort of thing. Like you're almost down in the stance, like sliding sort of thing. But yeah, I think Scott's Pendles is definitely an outlier the way he sees the game. But so yeah, it's probably the footwork and the quick feet. I don't like it's hard to tell because I guess it's natural, like the perception. So it's hard to tell what other guys see there, but. Yeah, it helps. Like, if I was to give advice to a young athlete, a young footballer, I would just say, like, just play as many sports as you can. Like, it's only like soccer. Imagine how much that would help. Like, yeah.
Now, obviously, there's a lot of you got Pendlebury, Mason Cox played basketball, I think, in college. Tom Wilson also.
Yeah, Tommy.
There's a lot of ex-basketballers. Corey Maynard was one that are kind of going from. I guess basketball to football. So I think it's a great decision for you guys that do that. You guys obviously love watching basketball. NBA's on now, finals and stuff. Do you find time to kind of watch games around your practice schedule?
Yeah, it's perfect because the games are on like almost 8:30 to 11:30.
Yeah,
there's usually a game on there, so we have it on in the breakfast room here in the hub, and there's boys love it, and like. It's always the guys that think they're like real experts and have a real nice jump shot, and then you just spot up and shoot with them, and they make them because there's no pressure. As soon as you put an ounce of pressure on them, they can't even hit the backboard. So I won't divulge who that is, but it's one of the leaders in the group, Taylor Adams. Oh no, I said it. Oh. No, but they love it. They froth basketball. So usually Tommy's the go-to because he's probably the most learned. He made it the furthest out of all of us.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about the hub. The NBL right now, we're kind of in limbo. We're not sure what's going to happen. Obviously, Melbourne, the COVID stuff, our season potentially being pushed back, potentially a hub set up. Talk to me through the hub. How's the hub? What do you do to entertain yourself? Like, talk me through the whole hub experience.
Yeah. Well, the way I just like it's pretty similar to college, I think, but without the class, which is perfect. And I imagine like the AIS for you when you were there. So it's like it's full on with like a lot of footy. Like there's meeting and you're so accessible to the coaches and stuff. So for me, I don't mind it, but some guys might feel like it's a bit much in that respect. But we're so lucky here. There's a beach just like a short walk away for like recovery, and yeah, we play like a lot of cards, a lot of Monopoly deal. Yeah, so there are the days like you almost don't want a day off. Well, for me anyway. Yeah, and I think they were saying that in the NBA as well. That they were like bored on their days off, but yeah, we're making the most of it, and we're playing games of footy sometimes every 4 or 5 days. So it's all about recovery and getting your body right. But I really like it, to be honest.
Well, it must be probably save on travel.
Yeah.
Your body probably recover easier. All that stuff. Probably guys not going out and about and being on their legs.
I don't have kids either, which is a bit easier for me. Some of the guys with kids are probably need a day off.
Now, I've got a few. You got to pick one or the other. I always ask people this, and I'm very intrigued. But MJ or LeBron?
Oh, Jordan for sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, MJ's Bulls or Steph Curry's Warriors?
Oh, 73-9 don't mean a thing without a ring.
I like that. Now, I don't know who you guys are sponsored by. Are you picking a Nike or an Adidas?
Nike.
Are you picking an NBA 3 to win a final or a goal after the siren to win the grand final?
We were talking about this today, actually. A 3-pointer game 7 time, like no time left on the clock. Oh, yep. like Luka's, but game 7
over MCG. Collingwood versus Richmond. Man. Collingwood versus Carlton. MCG.
Well, like outside 50, a big torp or so. Yeah, probably the big barrel.
This is a good one. So you said you were Adelaide. You grew up loving Adelaide. I'm assuming like Modra.
Yeah.
Modra or Bucks?
I want to play this week, so Bucks.
Classic. So if you weren't playing, was Modra someone that
Modra used to take unbelievable marks, man. Whenever we were growing up and you would take a hang, you'd be yelling out Modra. So yeah.
Andrew McLeod was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I love Mac.
Now my last one, obviously I interviewed Ben. He's retired. I'm assuming he was someone you probably looked up to, growing up, and your bigger brother that was kind of doing unreal things. But anything for him, like obviously him retiring and moving on away from sport, but kind of nothing too sentimental. But just kind of what he meant and like his career and yeah.
I'll probably start off like his year in Melbourne with you last season was so good because he went to college when I was like 12, so we sort of missed like a lot of that bonding time. But then like when he came back, I was over there a lot with looking after his boys and his wife Bria, and like we had like it was just so good to be around him again because he'd been away for so long. But yeah, he really set the tone, and this like I touched on earlier, like the opportunity like paved the way pretty much for me. And probably one of the reasons I got to college was because my coach had played against Ben when he was there. So he probably helped me in that respect. And this advice, like he comes to me for advice and I go to him for advice. Same as with Tess and Carly. But yeah, he I think if you even read a couple of his like messages he got even on Twitter and Instagram and stuff when he retired, just what people said about him.
Yeah,
so I think that sums him up perfectly. Like he's one of those guys which is I think is the biggest compliment is like you hated to play him, but you'd love to be his teammate. Like that's sort of what you want to be, isn't it? Like hard to play against, but a good teammate. So I think that's pretty much sums him up.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely. And I was more impressed with the stuff that he was doing off the court. the stuff at the hospitals and all that. Major's Way, whatever he called it, was that stuff I found more impressive.
I didn't even really know about that until he spoke about it on your podcast. I was like, that's good by you, Benny. Good job, mate.
Well, I had no idea really. I read something about it, but I was like, that's pretty impressive to take a bunch of, like, obviously kids are in hospital and their families and to take them to a Sydney Kings game. And I want to see if I can try to get that started here once we get out of our lockdown. But I thought that was pretty cool because obviously, you guys are a massive sporting family and he's kind of hanging up his boots, so to speak. But I think it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm sure your parents are super proud of all their kids for whatever they've done. But for you to, hopefully they can come and see it at some point, but run out on the G in front of 90,000 people would be pretty amazing, I would imagine. What's the biggest crowd you've played in front of?
I reckon it was round 22 or 23 last year. We were playing Essendon, and I think that was 85. And that was pretty. I remember at one stage, I've never made this mistake again, but I sort of like looked up and was looking around at the crowd, and I was like, I started to get a bit anxious. I was like, just keep your eyes low. Like you can't be doing that, otherwise this feels like everyone's watching you. So definitely won't be making that mistake again.
So you've been in the crowd in you've been in in a game in Cairns where there's 3,000-4,000 people. Obviously, the MCG is a whole new ball game at 85. I been in Perth Arena, they have 13,000. Sometimes I feel like Challenge, their old stadium where they had 4,000 people on top of you, it felt louder. What's it like?
Yeah.
What's it like being in? Is it just a lot of noise at the G with that many people, or describe that kind of feeling between the both?
Yeah, so I've probably the loudest stadium I've ever been to was in college, and it was like 500 people in there, but it was jam packed, and it was like, I remember the video was distorted; it was so loud. But it's probably just more constant noise with more people, and it's like I'd be 5 meters away from my teammate, like screaming at the top of my lungs, and he can't hear it. That's probably the difference. It's constant, but it like gets your fight. Like we kick a goal and everyone goes nuts. It's like, and then obviously the Collingwood chant when we're like the crowd knows we've won is like it's one of the best feelings ever. But
well, mate, that's all I had for you. I appreciate you taking time. I know you're locked inside your room probably now, whatever, but for taking time out. I think, who do you play? You play Brisbane.
Brisbane, yeah. So that might be a little hostile, actually.
That'll be a fun game. What are your thoughts? Yeah. As a boy, obviously they just announced a grand final going to be in Brisbane. Is anyone early?
Yeah, I think the first thing, because we played like a 3:30 game on the weekend against Carlton, and the first thing we said, like, thank God it's twilight, because that sun coming down.
Yeah.
I like a few guys. We were probably lucky. I think Carlton lost the ball in the lights in the sun a couple of times, and so do we. But so it'll be a twilight game, which is awesome. So it's going to be, great weather. Probably be a little bit dewy, but yeah, I think it'll be really cool. The Gab has held up so well for the amount of games that's been played there. So.
Well, fingers crossed you guys are there, mate, and hopefully you're a part of it. But yeah, I want to say congratulations on what you've done so far. I think it's awesome seeing you play, and like I said before, your progress you've made, and just watching you out there running around, it's pretty impressive, man, for someone to come from basketball and in such a short time I think should have a cemented spot, but I'm not Bucks, so hopefully you can go get him a coffee or something. I prefer him over Modra, and you might be a lot for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I might have shot myself in the foot there. No, cheers, Gibbo. I love it, mate. I really enjoy listening to it, and good luck this season for SCM.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it.